Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Western New York High School Football Weekly. It's Wednesday night. Tom Prince is here. I am Frank Wolf. Mario Hall is not with us this evening. Tim Gardner producing. We are at, week 6 of high school football. We just played week 5. Technically halfway, past the halfway point, if you're not counting playoffs and everything else. For us, what is the halfway point for us if we go all the way to Syracuse?
So you've got 8 weeks and then 3 weeks of playoffs?
Yeah.
That's 11.
6.5.
Okay, so 6.
13 weeks.
No, 14, right? Far West Regionals.
You're the math guy.
Then the state semifinals.
Yeah.
Then the finals.
Yeah.
So that would be 3 weeks added on
6
to
plus
the 11 that
8
we have here.
is
14.
14 weeks.
It used to be 30.
All right.
Yeah, they added week 0. That was what they
Yeah.
added back. You remember?
So basically, next week, after next week, we're past our halfway point
Yeah.
of covering high school
Yeah.
football. So, good. So we wasted the first 3 minutes doing our math. Our math is terrible. But the show's not bad. We actually have a good show today. Today, Braden Gibbs, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brockton quarterback, who actually leads the league in touchdown passes, is going to join us in the first hour. And then we have, Starpoint head coach Tim Racy is going to join us also. I believe they are like 2-1 in their last 3, they're 2-1 in their last 3, but they have Kemmer West coming up.
Correct. Their only
And it's a big
loss
game.
that they've had is the loss they had to Will North.
Yeah, and I talked to Tim. He told me, says, Will North is a very strong physical team, much stronger and more physical than they've been in the last few years. He goes, that was a bloodbath. He took his hat off. He goes, they just beat us up. We'll get more into that when we talk to him, but he said, keep your eyes open for Will North. You're not talking about them enough. Okay. So kudos to the Spartans and Coach Polizzi and everything they're doing over there. Right out of the gate, we'll say that. Last week, you went out to Medina, then you came back for Lancaster, and you took Saturday off. So you saw you saw Medina. You had to get out and see Medina. No.
Yes.
You were doing back-breaking work on Saturday. But anyways, you had the Medina game. You wanted to get out there and see Eric Valley's boys and see how they were doing. And they had their way on Thursday. It wasn't as good a game as we thought it was going to be, probably because of the injuries.
Yeah, there's no doubt the injuries had an effect. I mean, you went from having a top quarterback in Western New York and Patterson to an injury, and then you're going to a third-string quarterback is where they had to go to be able to fill his shoes. And they moved the ball in the second half via the pass, which was great to see.
Yeah.
But listen, I say it every time before I go to a game. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the trenches, and Medina really won the trenches. And that's the reason why Moss went crazy.
When we looked at Medina coming back in this season, tell me, didn't they have 2 Trench Trophy finalists last year?
One
One
would have had 2.
could have had 2.
Yes, absolutely.
Could have had 2.
Yep.
They lost both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost starting over. And the 2 guys they had were behemoths.
Yes.
So we thought, we knew they were going to have smaller numbers this year. They weren't going to have, because Eric was even flirting with having to go to 8-man.
Yeah.
Let's be honest there. He was worried. Glad they stayed.
I want to say he only had 19 starters for that game against Akron.
Thursday.
Yes.
They got the kicker.
Yeah.
New kicker?
Oh, then let me tell you something.
Is that a new kicker?
No, that's
That's
the
the
same
kid
one
from
we
last
remember
year. Okay.
This kid, I'm going to tell everybody, Callard is who it
Callard,
is.
yes.
This kid's not only going to play on Saturdays, we may be talking about him playing on Sundays.
Wow.
He is that good. He really is. And when you got a coach that is a former NFL player and knows how to do it, I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about this kid.
Punting, field goals, kickoffs.
Yep.
What were his kickoffs like?
It was. I think one of them didn't go into the end zone.
Huh.
Otherwise, they were
Okay.
all into the end zone. Is what it was.
Wow.
He even
Good
put a
for him.
punt that landed on the 2-yard line. It was like, I'm telling you, this kid's the real deal. And obviously, we're never going to talk about the kickers enough, even on a show
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
But this kid deserves his accolades and more.
Okay. Very good. Continued success for him. Let's go to that Lancaster game. Let's go back to it. Lancaster Bennett, highly anticipated. It was the game that's been circled since the schedule came out. And I want to say that was a lot. Was that a lot closer than we thought it was going to be, or did that not go the way you may have anticipated, or did that go exactly the way you thought it was going to go?
Fourth and
I know
goal
there
from the
was some
7.
I knew this was going to be a close game. There was no doubt in my mind this was going to be a close one.
A lot closer than they've been.
Yes, no doubt. But you got to remember, that last time they played at the stadium last year, that was a great game. And if you think about it, you take away the one return there that Bennett had, that was a one-score game is exactly what it was. I anticipated this to be very similar. What we were waiting to see was, what did the line from Bennett look like in this one? And if you saw early on in this game, some of the mistakes were actually coming from the line. A lot of procedure penalties that were happening early on by Bennett. But listen, Bennett's got 2 stars that came up big in that game in Eskridge and also Freeman. Noah McDuffie had a big game when you talk about what he did as far as defending the pass as far as the safety position goes. And really, you've got to look at, there's just so many weapons when it comes to this Bennett team. Unfortunately, on the Lancaster side, some big injuries that happened inside that game.
So I had to leave early to get to another game, but was there 2 kickoffs returned back-to-back? Is that what it was, or because Lancaster returned a kick?
Correct.
And then not long after, Bennett returned a kick. Was that
Didn't
a punt?
return a kick. No, it was they got really good field position, and that's when they launched. It was like one play, and then they launched that. It was either the run by
Did
Freeman
Freeman have
or
the long
pass to Eskridge.
Okay. There was 2 nice long
Yes,
plays
it was
almost
like
back to back.
back-to-back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
what
that
it
was
was.
okay. I thought Freeman. I mean, we hadn't really talked in depth about him returning to play quarterback for Bennett this year. He was okay last year. It was very good.
Yeah.
This year, they hadn't really played that top caliber AA team yet. They hadn't seen Orchard Park. This was Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good game for him.
It was a fantastic game for. They don't win this game if he doesn't have that 70-yard run that went right up the gut.
Yeah.
You saw the hole open up, and then he went right up the gut and took it to the house.
And a lot of people are talking about the game that McDuffie had defensively but he played. Didn't he play okay on offense too? He did everything.
Yeah, you know what? I said on air, what I really liked about what Noah did is Noah was running with a purpose. And you saw him when it came to initiate contact, that shoulder was lowered, and you saw he was going to get those couple extra yards.
He wasn't running like that last year.
And why that was so important is, remember, it was horrible weather in the first half.
It was.
You're tired, right?
That led me to leave.
You left right.
That played a factor.
But think about that. You're tired, you're wet, and then you got a running back that wants to come down and initiate contact hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody you want as one of those running backs in that backfield. And that's exactly what we got from McDuffie. And then it really fed off because you saw whenever they went to the passing game, he had some great blocks.
Yes.
And one of the things that the difference in this game, flat out, Lancaster's got to score in the red zone because they went down there 3 times in the red zone where they had no points come out of it.
Now tell me that wasn't a similar situation to a year before. Not at the stadium, but I think didn't they play this game at All High last year?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a similar situation last year where they were leaving points on the board?
Yeah, they said that's one thing they haven't done to their liking, right? To the Lancaster liking and the Lancaster coaching staff is that's one thing they felt they had to get better at. I was shocked because I think they went a little too much to the pass, in my opinion, at that point. I would have liked to still see them stick with the run because the run, they were really effective with it. And that was they were winning the line of scrimmage right there, especially on the offensive line.
If you're Bennett, I mean, if you think about it, you had the premier lineman on your roster for the last 4 or 5 years. Really the last 2.5, 3 years, Rashad Perry was just in a world of his own. Rightfully won that Trench Trophy a year ago.
100%.
But this guy
That's
was
2
taking...
years at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already 2 years.
So anyways, he, though, was... Well, they had other guys. They had other dudes last year, too.
Sean Taylor.
There's
right?
where I was going. But
Yep.
you had the luxury of having these mountains on the line. And we weren't sure they were going to have that this past year. I think they proved Friday night they still have a line.
Absolutely.
So, and they were
100%.
tough. They were tough. I thought Lancaster was pretty tough though too. That was a great fight, hard fought.
Listen, you knew there were some key injuries. Unfortunately, they lose their
That kid right off the
safety
bat, yep.
right off the
Yep.
bat early.
That's
and
like
then
having
to
an
lose Moberg late in that game.
and McDuffie's like having another coach on the field.
Oh,
The kid grew up
absolutely.
in a family of coaches, of highly athletic individuals. You know, Steve was a college player. His brother's in the NFL. Uncles, great college careers, great high school football players. So that is a football family. In fact, someone wrote a story that this was the first family of Buffalo, and I think they're still right.
I don't disagree with that.
But so Noah's like having another coach out there. And when you have that luxury, you're a tough team to beat. You know, and it helps that he's very athletic and just a good overall football player, good character kid. So I'm glad he had that day, because I think he does think sometimes he's playing in the shadow of his brother. It's hard. It's got to be
I've
very
got
hard
three
for
boys
that kid.
myself, you know, and they all at one time, any family
Yep.
that's got multiple boys feels like they're going to play in the shadow of a brother at one point.
So that's very difficult. I feel bad for him at times, but then he shows you that he does belong. It's tough to be Isaiah. Isaiah was on a world of his own when he was playing, and your sons played. Did they? Okay, so
yeah.
so
like
you
Zachary even played basketball with him.
Yeah. So you know what kind of an athlete he was. So that's got to be tough for him. But he is proving this year certainly that he belongs in that conversation every bit as much as Isaiah was back in 2017. I think he graduated. So I'm glad for him.
Two players I do want to recognize out of this game that I really think showed their star potential right here, and it's on both sides of the ball. One is Eskridge. This kid's the real
Eskridge,
deal,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
This kid's got that speed that we talked about last year, right, with Thomas.
He's a football player.
That he is legit got that type of speed that could break something open and make something happen. Flip it on the other side. The wide receiver, John Gang for Lancaster, that kid's the real deal.
You said that a couple of weeks ago, and he had another good game.
100 yards under his belt as a receiver, and they did everything. They used him to take what the defense gave him. And Bennett was making sure you did not beat them over the top. They'd give you the short stuff, and that's exactly what Lancaster took advantage of in the passing game.
Yeah. So that was Lancaster Bennett. This week, let's see what they. I know Bennett's got. Where was it?
Frontier,
So Bennett's Frontier this week and Lancaster,
Jamestown.
Jamestown. That's a WBFO game, Tim. WNED Create. Okay, so that's on television this week. You don't need a subscription for NFHS or WNY Athletics Plus. That is on WNED Create. Spectrum 1275, something like that. We have a graphic we'll put up later in the week. Just follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll point that out. Or you can go to the PBS website directly, and they'll have that out there. I'm wearing my Sabres sweatshirt vest today because tomorrow is Sabres opening day. Home opener. I know you're not a hockey guy. I know you're not a hockey guy, but that's why I'm wearing my Sabres today. Just to support
I'm
the home
out-dueled
team.
on this show, though. I got two hockey guys here.
And this poor guy Tim producing the show today. If you're watching on YouTube, don't mention anything about the Yankees game. He's taping it, recording. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know that I won't even say it.
You know he's opening up a can of worms on that one, right?
Anyways, let's move on. Was there another game that we really wanted to dig our heels in and talk about? Falconer lost last week. Was it the Chautauqua Lake Falconer game? Mm-hmm. Falconer lost. They've lost a lot the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they're going to be able to recover from the loss of Matt Despair. Both two Marshner brothers are gone. I don't know if Falconer recovers, but they had a season. If they were healthy, and they could have really done some damage. I think they'll still get into the
Started out real
playoffs.
strong. You remember, they were right
I think they'll still get into the playoffs, but without those, and Bear, I'm telling you, was a top player in Class C. That injury is huge for them. And when you're a small school, Tom, and you got to go both ways, it really adds up quick, the injuries.
I know you think they may make the playoffs, but you got 5 teams competing for this spot, for 4 spots. Salamanca, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield Brockton, Falconer, Portville, Southwestern.
Well, hang on. Salamanca's solidly in there.
Correct.
Okay. Chautauqua Lake is solidly in there at this point, right?
I would
Okay,
say
and then
so.
who is that third team? Faulkner.
Falconers, number
Okay.
third. And then you got Portville, Southwestern.
Okay, so 2 of those 3 teams will get in.
Correct.
With that injury, I got to believe Southwestern gets in there. Still got to play the games.
So here's the games, who they have left, okay? Falconers got Fredonia. Falconers got Salamanca this week.
Yes.
Then they go to Eden. Then they get Southwestern. That Southwestern game, the last game, may be the team that gets in as the final
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one.
Yep.
That's going to be a tough one.
And I
So
will tell you the 2 other games to me that I thought need to be discussed, because one I thought was an upset, and then the other one was, boy, you talk about coming out with your injuries and you come up big. That's Alden getting their win
Yes.
over Newfane 7-6. And then how about Olean going and taking down Maryville? That was the other big game to me.
you know what? I always say this a few times a year. Going down into the southern tier for a Western New York, Buffalo, Niagara County team to go down there, that's a long ride. And you have to mentally prepare for that long ride. A lot gets lost in that bus ride. And I'm almost positive, I think I had a little bit of a conversation with Nick Todaro about this like a week ago at a youth football game. His son's a very good youth little football
We're
player.
going to be talking about those kids.
Yeah, so I was talking to him, and I remember him telling me at the only game, I go, Nick, that's a long bus ride. That's a long, and he knows, that's a long bus ride. And I've seen a lot of very good football teams go down to the southern tier to play teams that were not necessarily there of their caliber, lose. And that happened. I like Olean. Nice kids, good coaching staff, nice quarterback. Maryville should not have lost that game. The injuries are mounting up, though.
Well, and that's Hill. Hill's the one that we're waiting to see. Comes back in this one.
If he comes back.
He came back in this game.
He did.
Yes, but I hear he didn't play the fourth quarter is what it
Okay.
was. So it's still we're seeing is he still a little
That's
bit
right.
banged up or not is the question. And that's what we're waiting to see. Because I will tell you, you get the Tryon Hill combo together, this team becomes
They're very tough
right
to defend.
to the top.
Yes.
It really does.
But if one's not going, you can
Oh, yeah.
key in on one. But Tryon's a good special teamer, too.
Oh, he's good. He's also good on defense. He's a good linebacker at the same
but
time.
But Maryville needs both those horses going. Now, that's a hiccup last week. That might be the best thing to happen to the Flyers. That loss might be the best thing to happen to them.
Absolutely. Tryon goes for 130 this one with 2 touchdowns. That's right there the for them leading
Okay.
the way. And then Mest has 2 touchdowns by the air. He actually only threw the ball 9
didn't throw it a
times.
lot, yeah.
7 out of 9, but 2 touchdowns. He comes up big when it's asked of
Yes.
him to come up big.
And I'll tell you, that's a kid that I've gone down and seen, and I wanted to make sure that I was getting a real look at the kid. I saw him against Springville, and I had to ask myself, what is everyone talking about? Right. He's got the look to the quarterback, but he wasn't on. He was having a rough day against Springville. Maybe I wasn't giving Springville enough credit.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the passes he threw were behind players, above their heads. He just wasn't 100%. Something was off that day. And quarterbacks are allowed to have a bad day.
And early in the season to boot.
It was early in the
Yep.
season. Thursday night game.
Yep.
That was the Bills' first game of the year,
There
too.
was a lot going on.
So maybe his mind was elsewhere.
I do want to make a comment about the Hill. I was told he played and then didn't play the fourth quarter. But when I look at the stats, there's no way if he played the first 3 quarters, he wouldn't have one stat here whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't think he played in that
Yeah,
game,
I-
even though I was told otherwise by a source.
I thought he was getting like an MRI that week or having something. Someone was going to bring some information. Can he go or not? And
So I
don't-
apologize. It was something that was said, but I'm looking now at the stats, and I don't think he played at all.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the game you want to bring him back for, to rush him back for. Not that you could kiss a game away. You can't, and B, because only 2 per division are going to get there. What does that do to Maryville right now? Where does that loss do? Because I don't have the standings page pulled up. I don't know if
sure.
you do or not.
The
But
standings page
what does that
right-
actually do to Maryville in that?
So when you look at the standings right now in Maryville, so remember,
Tim's annoyed because we weren't going to do this until later in the show. I'm not following today's script. My apologies to Tim.
So remember, B has got B1, B2, B3. So
Yeah.
you've got top 2
Yes.
in each one are the automatics, and then it's up for grabs after that. You are now sitting in your division, Lackawanna, Depew, Olean.
Thanks,
So there's there. So if we go to B3, this is where you'll see it, everyone. Look at that. Lackawanna, Depew, Olean, Maryville, and then you still can't count Springville out
No,
of this.
and folks, you got to look at that league, not under overall. Look under the league there. So you got to figure Lackawanna's got that number 1 sewn up, Tom.
Still
I mean, they've
has
got
some
the
games.
they've got the win over Depew,
Yeah,
right?
but that's the only. Oh, and they have the win over. Do they have the win over Springville too? What I wanted to do was tell you what Maryville's left with here.
Please.
Maryville has this week Depew. Okay, then go to Dunkirk, then get Lackawanna. There are
Okay.
2 big games in here that you got to right now at least win one of them.
Out of the
Depew and Lackawanna.
Yes,
You got to win one
yeah.
of those games.
and let's be honest, this Depew game is the game you have to win.
You have to win this one, absolutely. And then when you flip it for Olean, right, who's still in the mix. So Olean has Lackawanna this week,
Okay.
then gets Depew, then gets Cheektowaga.
You got to believe they can get that Cheektowaga game. Where is that game? Is that
The Cheektowaga.
does it
one?
tell you where the Cheektowaga
It's
game
at
is?
Olean.
Okay, so Cheektowaga's got to go down there. Another long ride.
Yeah.
Cheektowaga and Maryville are right around the block from each other, right? So that's a long ride to go down for a team who hasn't won yet. Depew, though, they've been a pain in the butt to these teams for a long time because they can play with them.
Absolutely.
They haven't been able to close games out against Lackawanna and things of that nature. They hung in
That
there.
was a little different.
Turned
They're-
out to be a 3-score game, whatever. But if you're Maryville this week, you have to go into that Depew guns a-blazing and use everything you got.
You really do.
Because this is the game you got to win now.
And like if you're Depew, right? You had a big win over Springville. That was a big win right there because that takes out one of those tiebreakers. But Depew goes Maryville, Olean.
Where's that? Is that in Olean?
No, it's
Or is
at
it-
Depew.
Okay.
So you're actually going to be at Maryville and then home for Olean. Your last game is
Lancaster.
Lancaster, which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't mean it doesn't mean nothing
To the standings.
So
Now, we have Olean Lackawanna this Saturday on WNY Plus that you will need a subscription for, or come on up to Lackawanna.
Oh, absolutely. Great atmosphere, especially it's always a day game. And as long as the weather is nice, it's a very good place to go watch a game and enjoy a game.
Yeah, so that should be a good one. We're going to come back to the standings. Why don't we take a break? Before we do that, we want to introduce our Connolly Cup and Trench Trophy, guys. You got that graphic, Mr. Gardner? You're not watching the Yankee game, are you? You sure? All right, here are your Connolly Cup Players of the Week for Week 5, and every one of them had a fantastic. Jack Ciano, the wide receiver from OP, not his brother this week. Jack got it, huh? Very good, Jack. Tyrone Clark Jr., Lackawanna. He had, I believe, 3 touchdowns in that game. Maybe 240 yards, 270, something like that on the ground. Well over 2. Braden Gibbs, who we're going to have in just a little bit, QB, I think he was in on 5 touchdowns again. Elijah Kimball, having a hell of a season. Jeff Long, he had a really good game against Health Sciences for Clarence. Noah McDuffie, we've talked about from Bennett. Kevin McElwain from Randolph had 4 touchdowns in the game against Franklinville-Ellicottville. That one got away from FE.
That was
a
to me,
surprise to
That
you.
was a surprise. Not that they won by the amount they
Yes.
won by. That
Yeah.
really was the big surprise.
Yeah, we got to figure out what will happen there. Dakari Norman, running back from Williamson North, congratulations. He makes the Player of the Week in Week 5. Adam Nunez is on there again. He's having a hell of a year. This kid, man, jeez, you can't just give him the Connolly Cup, but my goodness, is he making a case. Caden, and we don't pick the winner,
No, we have
folks.
nothing
We
to
don't.
do with
We
any
don't
of
pick
these,
it.
so.
It's Caden Overcamp, Will South quarterback jumps on there. There's Rocco Panapino again from Sweet Home. Deontay Rogers, he was a lights out dude. He big time player for Ken Weston, that upset over McKinley, and that was an upset. Gavin Schwab, Pioneer, Trey Thompson, Lockport, and Landon Welka from St. Francis, and a losing effort, but my goodness.
400 yards by the air.
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable. And it was funny. Mike Bunt, who was on the call in that game, him and I were having some great conversation beforehand. And I said, this is going to be interesting. The passing game of St. Francis versus the run game of Canisius. And that's exactly what it turned out to be.
we're going to talk. I got some questions about that one. I want to ask you about because Welke is such a good passer. Are you throwing when maybe we got to keep that Canisius offense off the
field.
keep them off the field by running the ball, but
and really give your defense a rest.
Rest, exactly.
Yes.
Trench Trophy guys. Calling up our Trench Trophy guys. Mason Allnut from Canisius. Chris Barron, Clarence Red Devils. Olin Gallus, Alden Bulldogs. Joseph Holman from Health Sciences. Demarius Hood, South Park. Warwick Kyler from Salamanca finally gets on the Trench Trophy list. Big body there. Nathan Myers, Lancaster Legends. And then Andre Payne from Sweet Home joined the list of the top Week 5 nominees for the Trench Trophy, their banquet coming up at the end of the year, as well as the Connolly Cup. We did at least started to advertise a little bit the Dick Gallagher football banquet, December 14th. It's a Saturday. It's going to be at the Lake Erie Italian Club again. There he is. What a legend, Mr. Gallagher.
Love you, Dick. Love you.
Inviting the best of the best in high school football, top players. I had a conversation with the new sports editor from the Buffalo News. They will be involved again. Thank God for them. So we'll have those all Western New York first team, large school and small school will be invited. So that's cool.
Cleviston. And hopefully we'll see Harry.
Harry will be there, I'm sure. That's 12-4. Now, there's no invitations have gone out just yet, and I don't know about how tickets will work just that, if you want to just come and be a part of that. I don't know. We have to fill that room with players first, and we'll let you know if, I'd love to have more people be able to come in and check that out, get a nice dinner. And we're going to have a nice art gallery there. All those sports photos you see in Western New York Athletics, our photographers, Rich Rumfola, Jeff Pataki, Sean Turry, Emily Kreisdale, probably forgetting a couple. Cal Phillips.
Calvin's been on a couple
So
games.
Cal's been doing a couple. Those guys are taking photos. Ashley down in Fredonia. She's done a bunch of Ashley Brown, right? Ashley Brown. She's taken some photos. We're inviting them all up, and we're going to have like a little gallery of all their best photos of the year, kind of like we did last year. We're going to have a little gallery so when people come to that banquet, they can look and see at those photos from the year. Great year that it's been so far. So why don't we take a quick commercial break? We'll come back afterward from our sponsors. You're watching Western New York High School Football Weekly. We'll be back in a moment.
We've got a VIP at 3 o'clock.
We're gonna go side right pick, Riptide Blazer, safety key, full boat up 3. On now, ready? They're all VIPs.
Go Team Western.
And remember, you can call me anytime.
Anytime?
Oh, this is my client.
Hello!
Injury attorney William Lattar always puts his clients first.
I gotta take this.
There you go.
Sorry, I gotta take this.
He's recovered millions for injured accident victims.
Easy out, easy out. Ooh, it's mine.
This is William.
Hurt in a car? Call William Lattar.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
Welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly. It is episode 9. No, it's season 9, episode 5. Season 9, episode 5. Western New York High School Football Weekly. You replaced the late, great Dick Gallagher.
Oh, I'll never replace the late Dick guy.
You did?
But he
He sat right there.
I know, but he listen. I remember when when you first reached out, because that was when I was at Channel 2, when I was there, and you said, hey, listen, I really want to talk to Dick. Can we get that done? And then ever since that was, you talked to him for the first time, it was a great opportunity for you and Dick to really start things off and make that a beautiful marriage together there.
He wouldn't talk to me the first couple of years. He wouldn't.
It's probably because he was too busy. That's all.
I'd see him on the side. He didn't like walk the sidelines like we do. He was always like behind the fence.
Depends on where it was.
Wearing a Red Sox hat. But he was like behind the fence. Red Sox jacket. Yeah, but he had a Sox hat too.
He did.
But he would always be like behind the fence. Like he could care less if someone saw him or.
Yeah. It depended what field he was at, because there would be times I'd be standing in the end zone somewhere with him, and then other times you're right, he didn't want to be a part of it and get recognition for anything. He was there to watch a football game and see what was there that he could recognize from the football game.
He had an eye for sure. Is Gibbs ready? Gibbs is ready? No, he's not in yet? All right, let me see if I can't call him up and get him in here. I think I told him 8:38. Maybe I told him 8:45. But yeah, why don't we do this? Why don't we flip the script? Why don't we go to Tim Racy, the head coach from Star Point, bring him in. How long is that interview? 13 minutes? Almost 14. Oof. Pre-recorded, Tim Racy. I told him I can't shut up once I start talking. We're going to go to Tim Racy, Star Point, right now. Western New York Athletics. High school football, we welcome in head coach Tim Racy from the Star Point Spartans. They are 4-1 overall, 3-0 in A2. Last two outings, you had a loss to Will North, then you guys had that overtime win against Hamburg, and now you get Kenmore West, who have all of a sudden really turned things around with the last 2 weeks, especially just knocking off McKinley. And your season really takes off with, well, last week you had Hamburg, a division rival, technically a division opponent. Now you get Ken West, you get Sweet Home, and then South Park, which is a non-leaguer. But still, you guys have a gauntlet right now. And the word is that you may be without Lucas Lombardo, who arguably one of the top players in Western New York. So what's going through your head right now with everything that's on the table?
Well, we're in the grind, that's for sure. The next two games are huge. It's going to determine our seeding for the playoffs. We've adopted a, next man in mentality. We've had some, some offensive line issues through the last couple of weeks where we've been kind of plugging some holes and filling some gaps. So with Lucas right now, I would say he's on the injury report as questionable. I don't. I want to make sure first and foremost look out for his personal safety, but ultimately we'll be told by our trainer whether or not he can go with his shoulder. But with that being said, we tried last week. We were able to find a couple people to replace him. It's easier said than done. He's kind of irreplaceable right now on the defense, and he does help us on the offense as well. A couple good special teams that he plays. So it's going to take a lot of people to fill in his shoes. But yeah, we're in the grind right now, and our motto is next man in.
You have a more balanced team right now than you've had in recent years. I mean, Mike Grady, now a senior quarterback, running your offense. You got this AJ Anselm kid, who I want to say has 7 touchdowns already on the season, halfway to 1,000 yards receiving. He's been a Connolly Cup top performer, I want to say, in one of the earlier weeks. He's come a long way. He's a nice target to have on your team, but your running game isn't bad. You got this Joe Richardson, you got Bickler. I know Lombardo ran the ball as well for you here and there. Talk about your offense right now and how you make up for the loss defensively of what Lombardo brings to the table.
Yeah, Joe has sort of Joe Richardson, 3-year player, is sort of taken on a heavy load over the last couple of weeks with Lucas going down. Mike Grady in his second year as quarterback. as well as sophomore David Chase. He's played a few important snaps for us. Mike went down with what we thought was a head injury a couple weeks ago, and David came in against Will East and did a fantastic job in the second half for us. And then, yeah, AJ is quite the electric receiver that we have. Very exciting player. Had a 89-yard kickoff return last week against Hamburg that put us in a good spot. And yeah, he's leading our team in touchdowns with 7. You can coach kids plays, you can coach, help them out with attitude, but sometimes you just can't coach speed, and that's what he's got.
You mentioned the name Chase.
Yes.
Todd, how do we know the name?
Yeah, this is former quarterback Aaron Chase, who went to UB and graduated early, and then played his last 2 years at St. John Fisher. This is his younger brother. This is the last Chase. So he's very athletically gifted, and we're trying to bring him along to get a very good grasp of the offense. He's got a lot of talent. We just got to get consistency out of both of our quarterbacks at this point.
Use Chase in other areas while Mike Grady's still running the show?
I'm sorry, I could you say that again? I didn't quite get the
Could you
first part.
use David, or are you using David in other areas with Mike currently under center as your starting quarterback?
No, he's sort of he's locked into that role as the backup quarterback. We haven't used him yet in a nickel position on defense yet. We have put AJ back there in a nickel situation, and he has helped spell a couple of our corners at times that needed a rest. But yeah, David, we got him just trying to learn the offense right now.
What went wrong in the North game? That was a game a lot of us penciled in as a game that maybe Star Point should have won based off earlier track record. Huge win over Health Sciences, who's playing great football right now, Class B team, but as you know, they're as good as any team in Western New York when they're on. But the Will
Absolutely.
North game kind of surprised us. Just a little bit about that game there. I think it was like 14-7 fourth quarter type thing. If you could fill us in there, and then how are you going to attack Ken West? They've got a special teams right now that's kind of lights out, similar to Sweet Home's special teams play right now.
Yeah. First part of your question there about North. Last couple of times we played them has been very, very close one-score games. They were physical. They were tremendously a much more physical team than us that day. So we tip our hat to them. We typically try to be the more physical team, but for that game we weren't. And they have a couple special players on their side that were able to break out some long touchdown runs against us. And it certainly wasn't our best effort. We were able to sort of lick our wounds and try to put the best plan forward against Hamburg. And very nice effort, especially our special teams. As I mentioned before, we had a big kickoff return for a touchdown, but we had 2 field goals, including the game winner on 4th down in overtime. Our part-time kicker that plays high-level soccer during the week in Rochester and comes and kicks for us on the weekend, Jay Steiner, has just been wonderful when he's in there. He hasn't missed an extra point yet, and I'm going to knock on wood there just to make sure we continue that. But he's got 3 field goals this season, and our coach, Nate Butel, as well as the other coaches on our staff, we're very, very happy knowing that if it comes down to it, we can get the snap down. We got a great holder, and goes up and through the uprights almost every single time with Jace. As far as attacking Kenmore, it's going to be a tough task. They've got some size. They've got some incredible athletes with speed. We definitely have our hands full this weekend or this week in preparation for the Blue Devils. It's going to be a tough physical game again. And we're just hoping that we have all hands on deck here. We just got another lineman back out of concussion protocol, so we're happy about that. We're able to beef up our offensive line again, and hopefully, we'll see where Lucas trends toward the the end of the week, and maybe we take them off of questionable, move them up to probable. So, but definitely, one thing I'm confident about is that my assistant coaches will put together a great game plan. And I know we're going to play some great defense, and our offense is going to hopefully be exciting with AJ and Grady.
You've got a lot of seniors on that team. You mentioned we've talked about Lucas, but you got the Bickler kid, Richardson, a couple of those guys on defense. Is it Butita? How do I pronounce that kid's name?
Batita, yep, Frankie
Batita.
Batita.
He's
He's
an animal.
second year junior.
Yeah, he's an
Uh,
animal.
Billy sort of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, but uh, probably our heart and soul of our team, both on offense and defense. He's like on defense, he's like having another coach out there, puts people in the right spot. Very athletic, very active. Not the biggest kid, but plays with a huge heart. On offense, he adds a unique dimension to our short passing game, as well as he's got a pretty good burst of speed when we put him back in the backfield. Frankie Batita is second on our team in tackles. Does a really good job out in the open field. Really good technique. He makes sure that nobody gets outside of him at that corner position. Also, I'd like to mention too, we also have another soccer player that's doing dual duty this week or this season. It's Colin Vogel. He's come in and been a nice surprise as another outside weapon for us.
Coach, I think it's 2016, the last time Star Points reached Highmark. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're
Has it
absolutely
been,
correct.
it's been 2016. Okay, you took over the program for Al Cavanaro, who's still, I see him wandering the sidelines. I want to say I saw him even in Cortland. Did he go all the way out to Cortland with you guys?
No, he didn't go out to Cortland. His
Okay.
son Johnny did, but Al, we needed some help back. He retired in 2000 after the 2019 season, and then we had obviously that spring COVID year season. So that's kind of my first when I was able to be the first year head coach, and we had some coaching vacancies to fill. And I asked him to help out with our modified program, and then the next year we asked him to help out with the JV program. And him and he's been able to coach with his son Johnny, who's been he's been our water boy, he's been our ball boy, he's been on our sidelines since he was maybe like 4 or 5 years old, and now he's a grown man and helping his dad out on the sideline, and with John Faulkner, who's our other JV coach. So yeah,
Excellent.
Al he's still helping us out, and he's doing a fantastic job.
And I know, what would it mean to those seniors to kind of finally get over the hump? I mean, you got a ways to go here. You got to win a playoff game or two, but what would it mean for those seniors to finally get a chance to dance at Highmark?
Well, uh, like I always like to say, there's a lot of meat on that bone yet. So we we've got a lot of work to do before we get there. We certainly don't want to look past our next week's opponent, let alone look down the road another month. But to answer your question, I think that would mean the world to our seniors to be able to represent our school and our community at the stadium. We have a tremendous fan base. Our parents are a great group. They travel really well. We had a lot of fans there at Hamburg last week, and I think it would make the world of difference if we go there and do well. But like I said, we're focused on Ken West right now, and that's our primary focus, and we're going to not look any further down the road than that.
Coach, we appreciate you coming on board with us today. Um, Health, we wish you guys the best the rest of the way in health too. Get you guys healthy again so they can finish out the season strong, just the way you started it. So wish you guys the best of luck. Even though you're playing my alma mater this weekend, I have no more dogs in that fight, Coach. No more
That's
dogs in that fight. I'm a Williamsville Junior Marines fan now. Williamsville
that's right.
JV Marines fan now, and that's it. So best of luck to you guys on Friday night. It's going to be a good one. We're going to stream that one too for you.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Frank, and all the people at Western New York Athletics for all you do for not just us at Starpoint, but for all the high school sports. boys and girls across Western New York that benefit from you guys showcasing their talents. So thank you to everybody at Western New York Athletics. And I know Coach Haynes will have his team ready to go, and it looks like it's going to be a great night here Friday night on Mapleton Road. So come on out and see us.
We're all looking forward to it, Coach. Best of luck to you guys. And again, thanks for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. God bless. Take care.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly. That was Tim Racy of Star Point. We are going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few with Brayden Gibbs, the quarterback from Chautauqua Lake.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For more information, visit www.paulwolfagency.com.
Look, Patriot account is not going to close itself. Looks like you're going to be here late again. I need this by morning.
Oh no, not again. My son has a football game tonight.
At WNYathletics.com. You can link me later.
WNY Athletics, your home for high school sports.
Yes.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
Or an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs. More information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly, Episode 5 with Tom Prince. I'm Frank Wolf, and we're talking about all the great high school football action of the last week. Getting ready for another exciting week. We are in Week 6. Monsignor Martin games this week, Tom. Canisius at Timon. That's Friday night at Mulvoy. O'Hara at Section 5. Livonia O'Hara looking for their first win of the year. St. Joe's is at St. Francis on Friday night. That's going to be a good one. And then Cat Little Valley is going to take on St. Mary's on Saturday. And my buddy from St. Mary's, Israel Wilson, this kid on special teams is phenomenal. I mean, if he was playing on a team like Grand Island, most of any other teams we'd be talking about him week in, week out. But he plays on St. Mary's, and they can only play for a B division title there. So, and his schedule isn't like that extremely tough compared to these other schools, but he is fast.
Seen a lot of special teams that we've talked about.
We're seeing really good special teams play this year.
And obviously we did a whole interview last week because of it.
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me, I do want to give Western New York Football Report a shout out. Tyler and Leon doing a phenomenal job. They had a nice little hour-long interview with a couple dudes. They had, I know they had Dylan McDuffie in there, who's been, I guess, helping them out. That was kind of cool. They had the 2 kids from Sweet Home. They had Daquan and Yancey, who we had in last week. All giving football opinions and things like that. They had,
Lee was on that.
Lee Banky,
too, right?
for the wide receiver coach, who has his own little school going on. I thought that was kind of cool. And again, it's cool that we have more high school football outlets. Mark Adair, obviously, back in the swing with the magazine. We're in a good place as far as high school football coverage is. Us, the Buffalo News, Channel 4 when they get out there. The other stations, I guess.
7 goes out there, too.
7 does.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got WNED on Friday nights doing their game with Jack and Pat. Tim Gardner producing that with Jerry Urban.
My TV on Thursday nights.
My TV on Thursday. I think high school football right now is in a good spot. It's probably not as much. Oh, and then Joe Kraus.
Oh,
Niagara
no,
Gazette.
can't forget
He is
Joe,
he
yeah.
is pound for pound the best high school football writer we have. What? Because he weighs 90 pounds? He is a tiny guy, but Joe is. I think he's the best. Yeah, with Tony Fiorello doing a lot of stuff for us. Tony's doing a really good job.
Really done a great job this season.
And then there's like that red zone, Mike Kieran.
Yeah.
That's a new little thing. So I think the high school football coverage is as good. There's more outlets doing it now. Not a ton of in print in the Buffalo News, but Clevis is still out there doing what he can. Absolutely. He's only one guy.
One guy.
Harry, of course, with his photos. And then you got the Post-Journal down there with Scotty Kinberg and Matt Spielman, those guys. So only in Times Herald. Don Kirk,
Yep.
Braden Carmen. I think the high school coverage is pretty good right now.
Yeah.
I know they're taking a beating. This area takes a beating for the high school coverage, or lack thereof. I think the football's in a real good spot. It's the field hockey you don't hear about. The volleyball, the soccer, those people have a legitimate gripe. But football, you're in a good spot in terms of.
But we've done more. We've done more volleyball and soccer games than we have
as a whole
ever in a season. When you look at it, we're each week doing it.
Volleyball, we're starting to get in there, but we still haven't been able to get to field hockey. Orchard Park just lost a field hockey game to Star Point. Those girls.
Oh wow,
they're a fantastic team, but Star Point I don't know if that's an upset or not because I haven't been paying attention to the landscape. But we'll get out there and do it. Let's do more football though, because this is a football show. Let me tease you, though. Evan Harrington, possibly Luke Prince, might be hosting a high school sports show weekly on WNY Athletics starting in a few weeks on Tuesday nights, Tim. You just lost 12 hairs. Wayne's World. Yeah, oh, yeah, it's definitely Wayne's World, but that's going to be fun. Braden Gibbs, I hear, is in studio or on the line with us. Braden Gibbs, the quarterback from Chautauqua Lake, Westfield Brockton. Nice to meet you, Braden. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're doing fantastic, young man. Thank you very much for joining the show today. I've gotten to know your dad pretty well the last few years, and he's been talking about this kid. I think it was your younger brother, though, that he's talking about a little bit more. He said he talks about you too much. You want to talk about your little brother a little bit. What's he, a sophomore now?
No, he's a freshman.
Your brother's a freshman?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So I got to deal with Gibbs for like the next, 4, and you're a junior. It's 2. 4 and 2 is 6. Wow, you guys are going to be dominating Class C for 6 more years?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk about Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brockton. You guys are 4-1 overall, 4-1 in the league. Put up 178 points so far. You trail only Salamanca, who's put up 182. You guys are having a pretty good year so far. Why don't we start with week 1, work our way up through week 5, and get us ready for week 6. Tell us about how the season's been going for you guys.
Well, obviously, playing Salamanca first week was going to be a test. They won sectionals last year, so
you had one bad. It looks like you had one bad quarter against them.
Yeah.
Second quarter was a rough one.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you guys look pretty good. I mean, you were right there with them the other 3 quarters.
Yeah, we just had one bad quarter, and then
all right. The Bills had a really bad quarter last week too. You're allowed to have a bad quarter here and there. But anyways, okay, so Salamanca, you forgot about that one already, right?
Yep.
Okay. You get Fredonia. You beat them by 30.
Yeah.
I think you were a Conley Cup guy that week.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was.
Then you get Silver Creek, 34 on them. You blank them. Falconer, a team that I liked at the beginning of the year. You guys beat them by 30 a lot, 30-something. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. And then Eden North Collins, Tom's adopted favorite team. You like them. I like them too.
No, listen, I like the
Charlie.
fact that it's a team that's, remember last year, went through struggles as far as putting a team together. Remember, they had to forfeit some games last year.
Yes.
New coach comes in, they're trying to look for the positive, and they're doing something in the positive direction.
There. You beat them by 43, and now you get Southwestern Friday night, and that's at Southwestern. I love going down to Southwestern for a football game.
Absolutely.
The field is gorgeous.
Yep.
the turf, the views of the lake. I mean, you can get lost down there, Braden. We got a football game. Don't get blinded by those mountains.
No, I won't.
Tell me about this game this week. How are you guys going to attack Southwestern?
Just gotta play how we've been playing the last 4 weeks. I mean, Southwestern's been powerhouse past few years, so haven't beat them in about 10. So it'd be.
You guys haven't beaten them in 10 years?
It's been a really long time.
Wow.
So, I mean, being able to go there and getting that win would be amazing.
We had an intern, freelancer from Chautauqua Lake not long ago, called some games for us. Do you remember that kid? He worked down in Jamestown with those guys? Jeremy would remember.
Yeah, those guys.
Jeremy and Norm, they work with him. Yeah, we'll remember before the end of the show. Right. We had one of our guys. We had a guy from Chautauqua Lake interning for us. So there's hope for you post high school if you ever want to get into this racket.
All right,
use another
sounds
guy
good.
from Chautauqua Lake. Do you go to Chautauqua Lake or do you go to Westfield or Brockton? Where do you go?
I go to Chautauqua Lake.
What's it like having those Westfield and Brockton kids come in?
I
You
mean,
guys get along with them real well, or do you guys rip on them? Or how does that go? Is it like CSP?
Yeah, we get along good.
Good. You have to.
Yeah.
You know, you guys all wear the same jersey on Friday or Saturday. Which bus is late to practice? Is it the Westfield bus or the Brockton bus?
I think Brockton goes to Westfield and then they
Okay.
just ride each other.
Okay. I think it'd be funny if one of them was like always late. The Brockton kids are always the last ones to show up. Extra push-ups by Dad, right?
Yep.
Head coach. Okay. Who does your dad pick on the most on the whole team?
Me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not even close.
I thought Merring would have a bullseye in his back. Mason Merring. I know he's going to school to become a doctor and all that, but Mason Merring looks like he could be also a comedian at times. Is Mason funny at all, or is he all business?
Yeah, he can be funny.
Okay. He doesn't fool me, tell him. He's going to be performing surgery on us someday. I got to be careful.
On you?
He's going to be going. Yeah, for me.
So, Braden, listen, I know you want to forget about the Salamanca game. I get that, right? But I am going to ask you about it because I do believe sometimes you learn as much in a loss as you do in a win. Salamanca, you just said, is defending sectional champions. What did you learn from that game that's going to help you or is going to be something that you can build off of when you see them, if you see them again in the playoffs?
We just I feel like they played more physical than us. We couldn't really get anything offensively going that game. Our defense was making stops, but just our offense couldn't get it going. So if we see them again, we got to get the offense going early.
They got some guys that are big in the trenches right there. Is that really where you saw kind of the battle of the trenches go on the side of Salamanca?
Yeah. That game, they definitely beat us in the trenches. Our line has definitely improved since then, though. So
now you got to look at the schedule that's left. I really believe when you look at the C South, you're running the gamut right now. You got 5 teams that are ultimately competing for 4 spots right now. So what's going to need to happen for your team to make sure they get into one of those 4 spots?
we just got to keep playing hard every week, take it 1 week at a time. Obviously, if we beat Southwestern, we're looking at a playoff spot this year, which also hasn't happened in a long time.
You put up 5 touchdowns right now in games. We've talked about this, that you've really lit the scoreboard up, especially when it comes to touchdowns. What has been the most successful thing for you passing the ball this year?
Just taking what the defense gives me, taking the dump offs if I need to, and then once the long ball comes, it comes.
I wanted to ask you, Braden, about this. You have a good receiving core. You had a good receiving core coming into the season. But then all of a sudden, Nick Jacobson shows up. Now, this kid's a track star, high jumping star. You know, he's a Section 6 champion in a couple events, at least one or two. What's it like this weapon show up, though, day one. This kid, I mean, were you working out with him in the spring? Do you know why he decided to come back and play football? Did he see something that maybe he wanted to really didn't want to miss out on? I believe he's a senior now. But he must have seen something last year and said to himself, you know what? I think I should join this team. We got a shot to really do something special here. What was it about Jacobson that he decided to come and play football this year? I know he played before, but he kind of left to pursue the track thing.
Yeah, we played with each other our freshman year on modified. Had a good relationship then, and then took last year off to focus more on track. And then we all just talked to him. After last year, he was talking about how he should have came out last year. Came out this year. We worked out with each other during the summer, and then just grew the relationship with each other.
I mean, that had to ease up maybe some stress that you were having heading into the season, having that extra weapon, because now you could. I mean, I know the Salamanca game didn't go the way you wanted week one, but now that you're building that confidence with the receiving core and you're getting these wins, that has to be giving you guys more confidence. So if, in fact, you do get another shot to play a team like Salamanca, it's got to be giving you a little bit more confidence heading into that matchup. And it's looking like it could happen again. You've got ways to go. I mean, you're going to have to beat a C North team or two, right, Tom?
Oh, there's no doubt. Because remember, South will cross over. Not necessarily depends on who wins. You could see another South team even in your second matchup.
Okay.
But your first week will be a crossover game against the North.
Yeah, and when we're done with you, we'll probably dissect that, want to look and see where they're, because we are getting to the point where playoffs are. You have to start thinking about, the postseason now, and you guys have done a good job. Not going to lie, we knew you guys were going to be a much better team than what we've seen. Are you guys more physical or just more athletic and more skilled than you were last year, or is it a combination of all that?
I think it's a combination of both.
What was an area that you guys had to really focus on in the offseason? Like when you came off the field for the last season, as you're walking off, what was one or two of the things going through your head collectively as a team that you knew you guys were going to have to focus on if you were going to make a run this year?
Well, we obviously needed to get more physical. I feel like last year we weren't as physical as we are this year. Also, I feel like the line needed to step up a little bit more. And they've stepped up this year. I like clean every game other than a couple. So them stepping it up too has made it easier to succeed.
Braden, obviously with your dad being a coach, he has those high expectations. Trust me, I've coached all my kids. I always was hard on them too. My question to you is, because you guys know each other so well and obviously do so much stuff, film work and things at home at the same time, one, does he allow you to make changes at the line that you may see something because of you being the quarterback in that position and what you went over with? And then tell me, do you also see things that he's going to call before he even calls it because you two know each other so well?
Well, he's just the defensive coordinator, but I keep always asking our offensive coordinator to let me make some changes, but he hasn't wanted me to do that yet.
Braden, correct me if I'm wrong, but I had Jacobson down as a senior. Is he just a junior?
Yeah, he is just a junior.
Wow. So you've got a pretty young receiving core. I mean, juniors, we think of them as, you're upperclassmen, but you're still pretty young. I mean, so you've got Hughes, you've got Fairbank, Jacobson. Those are three juniors right now. So these guys are all coming back in their year. Does your brother play another position, or is he just a QB? Like, can he do anything else offensively? I'm sorry?
He's like a backup tight end,
Okay.
but he's normally plays linebacker.
Have you thrown a pass to him in a game yet?
Yeah, I have. It actually got called back.
Oh, man. Okay. Was it a catchable ball, or what happened on the play? Who do we yell at?
It was a catchable ball. He caught it, and he got down at like the 4.
Okay. All right. So you guys are in the driver's seat to some extent right now, but that doesn't mean you guys aren't going to lay off the gas at all, I hope.
No, we're not.
Focus. Good. All right. You're a good young man. We like you. We think you're a good man. Good quarterback. You lead Section 6 with 18 touchdowns. That's incredible. Congratulations to you on a fine season so far. Hope you guys finish strong. We're going to see, I believe, next Thursday at Gowanda. I think we're doing that game. So we'll look for you out there. Good luck this week at Southwestern. That's my favorite field. One of my favorite fields in Western New York is that one at Southwestern. So I'm a little jealous I'm not going to be able to be there this week. But I think I'm there in week 7 or 8 with Fredonia. Are you down there for that Fredonia game, Tim? Yes, you are. I know you are. It's a Friday night. Davidson's. All right. That's all you need to know. I like you, Braden. We're going to send you a Western New York Athletics hoodie when it comes in.
Thank you.
All right. Don't let your little brother steal it from you.
No, I won't.
All right. Have a good night to you. That was Braden Gibbs, quarterback from the Chautauqua Lake Westfield Brockton Eagles. They're going to take on Southwestern this Friday night. They're in the driver's seat at 4-1 right now. We're going to come back and talk about these other classes a little more in depth when we return for Western New York High School Football Weekly.
And remember, you can call me anytime.
Anytime?
Oh, this is my client.
Hello?
Injury attorney William Mattar always puts his clients first.
I gotta take this. There you go. Sorry, I gotta take this.
He's recovered millions for injured accident victims.
Easy out, easy out. Ooh, it's mine. This is William.
Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar.
Seek your next adventure. Make your next memory. Explore your next connection. What will you do next?
Look, Patriot account is not going to close itself. Looks like you're going to be here late again. I need this by morning.
Oh no, not again. My son has a football game tonight.
WNYathletics.com. You can link me later.
WNY Athletics, your home for high school sports.
Yes.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Welcome back to WNY Athletics High School Football Weekly. Appreciate all our sponsors. Why you got that grin on your face?
Because this part's gonna. I've been looking forward to this now for a couple days.
All right, so our large and small school rankings are there. Well, we're going to do them right now. Did we say we're going to do the large first? Okay. So what's wrong with that? That's good,
look
right?
bad.
I told you he took the 2 worst photos he could have found of us. All right, those aren't that bad. We look
You
okay.
superimposed the background on it. I see it. I like them.
Good job, Tim. So we didn't really have any discrepancies here.
Yeah, I think.
I think I have, what do I have? Orchard Park ahead of Clarence, and you have Clarence ahead of Orchard Park. And that's basically about it. Tim spelled all the teams right. The graphic. I don't know who you could take out and put in, number one. Is there a team?
The only team to me that's on the outside looking in right now, and the reason they're not there is because of the loss to Ken West, was McKinley.
And I thought, I could be wrong here, but someone told me that the running back, Tyrone Hughes, may have been banged up or hurt in that game.
He
And
only
if
had
that happens,
one rush all game.
so that tells you something about he's a difference maker.
Oh, 100%.
So that may change the landscape for that West game, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
I did not know that he was injured for that game. So if they win that game, Tom, I do have them above Star Point in that 10 spot.
Star Point is taken down. Health Sciences we've already talked about.
Yeah.
They're only lost to Will North.
Yes.
So
again, coach, as you heard, had said Will North was a very physical. They out-physicaled us. So, but that's a pretty good list either way, 1 through 10. Orchard Park, Clarence. I can listen to an argument and putting them above Orchard Park. I think I looked there, Tom. I just like the combination of those Ciano brothers.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that line right now, I think you're probably right there. I think Clarence probably is a spot above Orchard Park right now. We're going to find out, though.
There's a lot we're going to find out this week, right? I want to see where St. Joe's does with the St. Francis game. That's going to be a big one. You've got Jamestown taking on Lancaster. There's another big one right there.
Sure.
So there's a couple games that's going to tell some things to us. I think that'll even make this more visible to us for next week.
So those are our individual large power school rankings. Again, we really don't have any dogs in the fight here. That's just honest opinion of where we think these teams fall from a large school perspective. Let me ask you this, Tom. Is there a small school, 1 through 10, we'll show you those rankings in a second, that could be put in those top 10? Would you, out of all of our small schools, your Health, your Pioneer, your Lackawanna, would you put them ahead of any of those teams right now? I would have a hard time putting them. I think you can make a case for maybe that 8, 9, 10 spot. Maybe.
Well, Sweet Home's really, you have a problem them not even being higher. The only reason they're not higher to me is the loss to Orchard Park, right?
Orchard Park.
Yeah, right. So that's where pretty much was a head-to-head matchup that we looked at here.
I don't think I'm putting any of those teams in the small school above those 7. I could talk maybe even 8. 9, 10, I think
even 9. Jamestown has taken Bennett to the brink, has taken Orchard Park to the brink.
I think Bennett took their foot off the gas in that game, being honest.
Yeah, that's fine, but it was still only a 4-point game.
I got you.
A 1-point game against Orchard Park.
Uh-huh.
And then let's see what happens against Lancaster.
Yeah.
But the two teams to me, because you're going to laugh, everyone, because when we get to the small ones, we're not even close when it comes to the rankings. But I will tell you, the two teams to me right now that could be there, I'm going to even put 3 teams in there, are
Lackawanna,
Pioneer, Health.
And Health.
Yep.
And it's because those 3 teams are so balanced on all phases of the ball.
Close game against Star Point Health has.
Yeah.
Close game against Clarence Health has. So they've actually proven they can do it. But have losses to 2 teams in there, so that's tough to put them in there. Yeah. Pioneer. And, then it comes down to Pioneer and Lackawanna. And I'll tell you, when you step up in class like that, you've got to have a line to step up in class.
And the thing, too, Tom, is you have to be able to go both ways.
Yep.
Where a lot of these large schools don't have to do that. Now, Jaden Clark does because he's an amazing football player, and you want him on the field as much as you can. But in the small schools, your best players are going both ways. And can you play every snap against a Canisius, against a Franny's, against a Joe's, a Bennett? That's a tall task.
It is.
Let's go to our small school rankings. And this is after week 5, and we got some discrepancies there. Our top 3 are the same. Our top 4 are the same, just in a little bit of a different order there. I like Pioneer, Tom, as much as I like Lackawanna.
I do too.
I think I have to see Lackawanna a little bit more. I can't argue.
Jabu,
1 or 2.
Clark, right? I got 2 great running backs.
Yep.
I got a great line, right? You got Platt, you got Schwab, you got
the X factor there for me was Isaac Platt.
Yeah.
Not Sam. I love Sam, and Sam's an awesome player, but Isaac Platt, that young man there, just a sophomore, is why I have Pioneer ahead of Lackawanna there. Just I think they have a little bit more depth. I could be wrong, and I'm hoping to see that matchup at some point.
Yep. And I like Lackawanna's line. Sammy has been commanding double, even triple teams this year. And then you add Hines, you know what I mean, that we've already talked about that. I do believe this Lackawanna line just is, that good this year, and I can't wait to see this matchup because Pioneers line is that good.
If we see it at all.
Yes, you're right.
Because it's going to be a hell of a fight for them to get through a Health, a South Park, even a Maryvale, if they're all healthy. Now, Maryvale, you don't have on the list that I'm assuming is because of the injuries.
Injuries,
and then the loss to
you
Olean.
just lost to Olean this week,
Okay.
right?
So I think I'm okay with Maryvale being in my top 10. And I'm going to be honest, my 5 through 10 is very interchangeable. Okay, and I think yours 5 through 10 is probably interchangeable.
We're going to learn a lot this week.
We are. Maryvale, I still like because it's tough to do it. It's tough for me to leave them out, knowing that if Hill and Tryon are at 100%, that team isn't a top 5, top 6 team in small. But, Tom, they're not healthy.
And that's unfortunately what we've got to take into doing these. You got to take into play. The beauty of these, we do one every week.
Yeah.
So guess what? Maryvale, you all of a sudden become healthy. There's no doubt on my end of the spectrum, they're going to fly up the charts.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. And again, if they beat Depew this week, then there's a little bit of justification maybe for keeping it. If Depew wins and wins by a couple of touchdowns, then that having Maryville at 5 for me again is going to look pretty silly. But hopefully Nick Todaro and the boys prove me to be somewhat know what I'm talking about. I like this Grand Island team.
Oh, I really like this.
I like the Grand Island team.
I like the Salamanca team.
I do too.
This team is doing exactly what it did last year, and in some cases, I think a little bit better. I think they're putting more points.
Treatley or Treatley.
There's no doubt. But they're putting more points even on the board to me than they were last year.
They're a little bit more balanced offensively than they were a year ago. They had some big playmakers there, but I like what they're doing, and we're going to see them again this week at Falconer. I think that's going to be with the injuries now and what have you at Falconer. That's probably going to be a.
And to me, there's two wild cards right now, and I'll even throw a third wild card in there. Yes, Medina and Newfane are not on my list, but Medina, you lose that first week to Newfane because you were so young. Your youth was trying to learn how to play up at this level right here. You got some freshmen out there, sophomores out there that are on that line. That team is getting stronger each week, and I'm telling you, Medina's going to find themselves into here very shortly.
I left Alden and Newfane here 9 and 10 just because of that last game they just played.
Yep.
You got undefeated teams, and then Alden, taking them down. It was just a 7-6 team without Robbie Westmiller, the one kid we really knew much about heading into the season. We don't know much about these other Alden kids, but we found out you got some ballers, you got some dogs to take down Newfane. I know it's a 7-6 game. That's why I left Newfane in there, because they only lost by a point.
Yep. I think this week Alden goes to Medina this week.
What's that?
Alden goes to Medina.
Yes.
This is going to be the week. That's
another huge test for Medina.
To me is going to be a game that's going to really affect things.
So for me, if Medina wins that game, that will bring them into my top 10. And figure if Chautauqua Lake gets this win over Southwestern this week, they'll probably break into my top 10 as well. They probably could have been there this week as well.
And Olean. Can't forget about Olean.
I saw that Springville game, and I keep going back to that Springville game, and they just were not firing on all cylinders at all.
That was week 1, right?
No, that was I think it was week 2 or 3.
Okay,
but maybe week 2, but they just were not firing on all cylinders. There was something amiss that day, so I'm going back to that game, and the smell test. You're there. You're seeing what's going on.
The eye test.
Springville looked like the 85 Bears that day.
Second week, good call.
So, but I could see CWB as they're being called. They're being referred to as CWB by some outlets down there. So that's what CSP, CWB. Won't you be? Huh? So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, I like our rankings. I love your rankings. I like what I have there. And who do you take out? Who do you put in? If you're either one of us. I don't know. CSP, so they still have a nice offense. I know that they lost to Lackawanna. Tom, I thought Sammy was going to have himself a hell of a day with the CSP line that was still undersized, young, and he proved to have. He didn't have his way with them, but he was tough. Yep. He was a tough assignment, and it took them a while to get going. They fumbled on their first possession, and CSP couldn't put points on the board there.
Yeah, and I will say this. The reason why a line sometimes may struggle in a game like that is because of the quarterback. And Schwab knows how to roll out.
Katniss. Katniss.
I'm sorry, I said Schwab. I apologize. Katniss knows how to roll out. He knows how to throw on the run. He knows how to get outside those tackles out there, those ends. And we saw him do the same exact thing when they played Waverly. Right, this was going to be a very similar line that you were going to see that you saw in Waverly.
Watching Katniss this year, he was really good last year. Mm-hmm. He's still good. I just think he's running a lot more this year. He's got 9 interceptions. It's uncharacteristic of him at this point in the year to have 9. 3 last week, and I don't know how many there were against Waverly. I don't have a week to week. Take those 2 weeks out. He probably has much better numbers than what they show, but to me, he's been at times running for his life.
3-2.
Okay, so
there's
6 interceptions in
right
2
there.
games.
Yep.
So he's not having the year he had last year. The Carter Brink kid, though, you talk a lot about Bryce Hinsdale as a receiver. You talk a lot about Alex Barmore. Brink is doing fantastic down there as a wide receiver.
Totally agree, and I want to say is though. You're absolutely right about from last year to this year, but their schedule this year is way more aggressive than it's ever been.
It has to be.
Seen. Absolutely.
Tom, they've got Tioga. No matter what, you're not going to the JMA Wireless Dome unless the road to JMA is through Tioga.
Yeah.
You have to schedule Lackawanna and bring the top. And I'm hearing Section 6 made that schedule more than these 2 teams, but whatever. Perfect for CSP.
Yep.
You have to be able to defend, or you got to see a running back like that. So you saw the Waverly team, and both of us, after seeing they lost their quarterback last year, we thought they were going to be in that game. Waverly's tough.
It was the line.
Lackawanna is super tough.
Yep.
You couldn't ask for 2 better tests for CSP to get them ready for the playoff run, and they should have a deep playoff run. But again, Tioga's staring you in the face.
Absolutely. And it is, listen, you need to stop the run because Tioga's going to run the ball all day. That's exactly what they're going to do there. They will use him sprinkling the pass, but this is stopping the run.
So let's see. Those were our large and small school rankings. In the A class, Tom, if we want to just talk about Class A real fast in your standings, you want to pull up your Class A standings at home. You got Clarence, McKinley, and West Seneca West in the A1. Will North is there too at 1-1. Top 4 teams are going to make the playoffs. Now Niagara Wheatfield's at 1-2 right now. If you take a look at Niagara Wheatfield, could they be a bit of a spoiler here? They've got Clarence this week, and then they've got Orchard Park. And then Will North. So they've got 2.
But remember, non-conference, right?
Well, yeah.
In Orchard Park.
But you've got 2 of the top teams, right in front of you. You know what you have to do. If Niagara Wheatfield wants to get in, they have to beat those 2 teams.
I don't know if you got to beat both of them. I think you got to beat Will North, though. Because Clarence is already leading the thing undefeated. You're right now neck and neck with Will North. And right now, Will North is sitting in that 4 spot.
Well, you lost to West Seneca West.
Right.
And West Seneca West is pretty much done. I think they've got East, Frontier, and Pioneer. Aren't those all non-leaguers?
No, Frontier is a League One.
Okay, but Frontier's 0-5.
Correct.
So West Seneca West should end up at
3-2.
3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Niagara Wheatfield's going to have to win 2 games. They got to find 2 wins there because they've got a loss against West Seneca West.
Correct, but remember, A4 will come out of A1 and A2.
Will North.
Right. So if they win that head-to-head with Will North,
they got a shot.
They got a shot to get it.
So they got to win.
They got to win the Will North one.
They got to win the Will North one for sure. Will North played spoiler last year, did they not?
Yes. No. Yes, I'm sorry.
They
They
Lockport.
spoiled the McKinley.
Yes.
Remember, it
Yes.
was McKinley went
That's how
the
Lockport
week
got in.
before against West Seneca West. West Seneca West beat them. Then McKinley went into a must-win game against Will North, and Will North win that one. McKinley ended up making the playoffs.
So Will North gets McKinley this week on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then they've got Clarence, and then that Niagara Wheatfield game. So now Will North's going to get the gauntlet with a win over Starpoint. Okay. A2, Sweet Home, Starpoint, both at 3-0. They will meet up later in the year. Ken West gets Starpoint this week. Hamburg, I know they're at 1-3, but my goodness.
Every game.
They have.
And how about Will East?
Except for the Ken West game. I don't know what happened there, but Ken West had their way with them.
Really? We're going to know this week. Hamburg, Will East this week. That's going to be the game. Could be right there for the fourth spot.
So that game is on NFHS. Tim Gardner's producing that one. And we also have the Will North game on NFHS. So if you have an NFHS subscription, you can catch both of those games this Thursday night. They will be on the live stream. I can't remember who's calling those games. I know Stu and Paul. I think they're on the Hamburg game. Stu Boyer at the Hamburg Will East game, and then Thursday, I can't remember right now who's on that game. Mike Bunt, I think, and Gallo. Mike Bunt and Gallo calling that game, so that's going to be a good game. No? Oh, Jake Fyack and Jim Craig. My apologies. That's a huge game. So A2, man. So 4 teams will make it. Sweet Home and Starpoint. Ken West should get in.
It's remember non-conference one this week.
Yep.
Wait, I'm sorry. No.
Ken West has wins over Hamburg and Will East.
Right.
North Tonawanda struggling.
Ken West still has left Starpoint,
Yep.
North Tonawanda, and then Ken East. So really that North Tonawanda game, if they can win that one, that should put them into the playoffs right there.
That's
Crosby. To me, it all boils down for this other conference this week. Who wins that Will East Hamburg game?
All right, so you got it from Tom there. Let's go into our Bs. Ladies and gents, B won that Grand Island 3-0 in the league. Grand Island coming up on the rest of the season for the Vikings. They've got a game at Will South. Now, I think that's on TV. I think that's the MyTV game this week, so that's on television. Then they get the Flames. Will East goes out to Grand Island, and then Health Sciences. So they are about to really see some top competition over there. Let's see, B2, Pioneer, South Park. And then it gets a little funky there with East Aurora and Iroquois, who's had a tough go as of late. Lakeshore got their first win not long ago. It looking like Pioneer and South Park, and I'm selfishly pulling for South Park because of that running back. I want to see Nunez get into the playoffs and see what kind of damage he can do and if they can get any better.
Honestly, right now.
Yeah.
Remember, top 2 teams, and then we've got 2 wild cards that'll come out of the Bs. To me, you look at right now, you got Grand Island Health Sciences there. Will South right now looking right in there that they could get in. If they don't get into one of those top 2 spots, that could be one of your wild card ones.
Did you look at Will South's schedule? Because they're at 3-1 right now. Coming up for Will South, who just had a big win over West Seneca East, they get Grand Island Thursday. That's a must-win for them.
Yep.
Then you get Pioneer. Toughest game on their schedule, if you ask me.
But non-conference.
Non-conference,
Yep.
and then Will East. The thing with Pioneer, though, Tom, tough physical team.
Yep.
You got to get through that one unscathed. You got to come back so you have all your healthy bodies for that game against Will East, because that's going to be a game that could determine your fate ultimately, no?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think
sorry.
right now when you look at it, though, I still think they're in a driver's seat for one of those wild card spots
Will
if they
South,
were to
yes,
lose.
yes.
Because you look at, I really think B2, you're looking at Pioneer and South Park, and then you got 5 teams in B3 competing for spots. And some of these teams are going to beat up on each other a little bit.
In B3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's what happens is when you have a strong division like that, you beat up on each other.
Yep.
And then a team that may be in a little bit of a weaker spot.
Yeah.
And trust me, that'd be 1 8 week at all. But I'm just saying is I think they may be in a driver's seat, those first 3 teams now for B1.
We saw that before the year even started. We had talked about this. But look at that B3. Lackawanna, Depew, Olean, Maryville, and Springville fighting for 2, maybe 3 spots there. Lackawanna, you got to give your tip of the hat to them.
Yep.
They should take the league. But Depew, Olean, Maryvale, and then Springville, my goodness, you couldn't ask for to be in a better position right now if you're one of those 4 teams.
And you go right now, Lackawanna, Olean, Springville, Maryvale. If you're going to get the division, you earn it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
C North, we talked about Alden getting that big win over Newfane. Medina and Cleve Hill are in the mix there. Akron at 3-2. If they can get some of those healthy bodies back, Tom, I think we're talking about Akron a little bit. West New York Maritime Tapestry 1-3. They've got a game this week that I think that has some divisional. Where did I see them this week? West New York Maritime at Roy Hart.
Yeah, Roy Hart. To be honest with you, the game to me.
So you got to win that game. You're at 2-3. You're somewhat in the mix. You're not totally out of this yet if you're West New York Maritime.
No. The game you want to watch this week is Cleve Hill Akron.
Absolutely.
That's the one.
Yep.
Really, because Cleve Hill, we haven't seen them really take on one of these upper teams yet, right? They beat Tonawanda. They did lose to Medina. That was one of the top teams that was out there, and then they beat Maritime.
The reason why I said Maritime is because they have games yet against Medina and Newfane. So they can claw their way back into this.
No, Medina played Cleve Hill. I apologize. Yeah, it will be absolutely a big thing. But remember, Cleve Hill does have that win over Western New York Maritime Tapestry. So that is a tough one that you've got to overcome there.
Maritime, and they've got a couple of players there. They got a couple of playmakers there.
Yep.
But they have to show up for these next 3 weeks.
Yep. No,
this is take down those 2 seed North teams.
Yeah, no doubt you're right. It's 3, 4, 5, 6 right now to
They've
me
got
that are competing.
3 games left, all against C North. You have to run the table. But if you do, you should make the playoffs, and what a story that'll be.
Yep. Agreed, 100%, especially where they came from last year.
C South Salamanca at 5-0. Chautauqua Lake, that's your 1-2 right now. You're looking at Falconer 3-1. A lot of injuries there. They lost their top 2, maybe 3 players. That's going to be a tough rest of the road for Kurt Fisher and the herd down there. Portville Southwestern, we talked about, can those guys solidify and take back that division? We talked a lot about Portville at the beginning of the year. They kind of fell off a little bit after a big loss, but they're still right there, Tom. They're right there at 2-2 in the league.
And remember,
Southwestern.
they're the only team that's taken Salamanca to the brink. There was a play that could have gone the other way in that one. I love the defense that Portville brings, and I think that they're going to be in the mix in this one. And remember, already have a head-to-head over Southwestern.
So we're kind of really not looking at Southwestern and maybe we should be. They get Chautauqua Lake right now, Westfield Brockton. They're at home. Mm-hmm. If they can win that game, they pick up their 4th win of the season. They get Fredonia next week that's having a real struggle this year. Mm-hmm. And then Falconer, a team that looks like they are starting to cool down because of those injuries. So Southwestern is not out of this at all.
Not at all. So those 5 teams to me are really competing for those last spots.
And then D, we didn't even get to Double A yet.
But listen, how about D? How about Randolph, what that game was with Franklinville, Ellicottville? That right now was very eye-opening to see that Randolph really has jumped into the mix of this division.
Week 2, though, against CSP, they lost 48-0.
Yep.
They got a lot of work to do if they're going to catch up and bridge that gap. Go on to Pine Valley, lost by 30 to CSP. Franklinville, Ellicottville, CSP beat them by 2 touchdowns. So CSP, they get Lakeshore this week, Wilson the following week, and then they added Cat Little Valley. So CSP for sure, again, in the driver's seat there. Who's going to challenge them? Who's going to step up and challenge CSP? Now, Franklinville, Ellicottville, did they see something in CSP to hold them to 21 points? What was the weather like that day, Tim, down there? Was it
ugly, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Oh, wait, CSP?
Yeah, CSP Franklin. How was that weather? It was fine weather. Yeah, okay. Cat Little Valley gets St. Mary's of Lancaster this Saturday. I might actually go to that one. I'd like to see Mark Benton and the boys. What, you don't think that's a quality game? I don't know. St. Mary's of Lancaster, Catholic school. I'd be charging to get in. Anyways, Double A. Bennett, 4-0 in the league. Right behind him is Lancaster and Orchard Park. Orchard Park showed a lot of guts last week in Jamestown. They really did.
Give that coaching staff credit because the
gotta get
injuries are
They got to get
unbelievable.
healthy on the line. I hear they're getting another lineman back. 61 maybe, number 60 something.
Yeah, there was guys they've been waiting for that that should be coming back as they
one guy for sure come back. They may not be getting the others.
Yeah.
The other linemen. We'll have to wait and see. Jamestown, I mean, look, Tom, do the top 6 or all 7 make it and then Bennett gets that bye?
Yeah, Bennett pretty much.
Okay.
As long as they don't lose to Orchard Park, because that's the one game that's still outstanding for them. That's the big one.
How does that work? Because Lancaster beat Orchard Park.
Well, Bennett will get the bye at number 1, so 2 plays 7.
If Orchard Park beats Bennett, Bennett still gets the bye?
No, because then it would be a 3-way tie up at top. Then it goes to tiebreakers that are over there.
Okay.
And I want to say it's a point system first, which if you look at right now, the points against as well as points for, both Bennett has in their advantage right there. So you would think right now the advantage goes to Bennett.
Okay.
And then Lancaster has the head-to-head over Orchard Park.
Yep.
So it would go Bennett, Lancaster, Orchard Park.
Okay. Then Jamestown, Niagara Falls, Lockport, and Hutch Tech. Man, a lot to chew on there. How about Canisius and Franny's? We didn't really talk a lot about this game. I don't even know if we have any highlights. We probably don't because that was on television. But, Elijah Kimball, how do you stop this kid?
You got to break through the line. When we did the Canisius and St. Joe's game, we kept talking about every one of his runs. He was literally running through holes that were wide open. And then when he gets into the secondary to be able to break out and use that speed, it's just unbelievable.
But I'm seeing runs where he's getting contact, spinning out of contact, breaking tackles, and going. Like, even when you think you have him tied up, you don't. So it's got to be like tackle by committee.
Well, again, watch his runs, especially in that game that we did with the Canisius Joe's games. When he initiated contact, right, or when he'd get through that hole, you see him get to the outsides. Now you're going against defensive backs that are out there or safeties, which aren't the biggest guys on the field, and you're going against head-to-head with a guy that you know is going to initiate contact and be able to break tackles easily. Yes, you're going to need help, and you've got to make sure that you're not letting him get to the second level, and that has to happen in the trenches.
Yeah, so we got a lot going on here. A lot going on this week. Did we leave anything off the show? Or did we forget anything anywhere? I mean, we talked what? Oh, okay. There's our Week 6 games as we alluded to earlier. Hamburg at Will East on NFHS Thursday, along with the McKinley at Will North, and then Friday, Salamanca down at Falconer, Maple Grove, Casadega Valley. Friday, Ken West at Star Point, and also St. Joe's at St. Francis Friday night on WNYA Plus. You on that game? You're on that game.
Yep.
Yeah. With Bunt?
Yep.
Oh, man. That's going to be a good one. And then Saturday, just the one game, Olean at Lackawanna, also on WNYA Plus. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff there. So those are the games that you're going to see this week on our network. The MyTV game, again, is Will South Grand Island. I got to see where Tyler and the boys are going to go this week. Where do you think Tyler and Leon are going to be from Western New York Football Report? If you had to guess.
The St. Francis.
Think they're at the St. Francis game Friday? Okay. I could see them at that game. What about Saturday?
Your pretty much game is Olean Lackawanna on Saturday.
Yeah, but they just saw Lackawanna. Maybe they
But
go
you haven't
back.
seen Olean,
Maybe.
right? And it's also a big game that we've already talked about that has huge impact inside that inside that B3 division.
All right, let's see. What's the date? The 12th, Saturday? Let's bet a bucket of wings on this. I'm going to say, huh? Our favorite place out in Orchard Park. Where else would you rather go?
Oh, Duff's you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Tree Inn.
Oh, the Big Tree. Absolutely.
Tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I said Duff's. Big.
If
You
I
can't
am-
go wrong with the Big Tree.
Okay, Olean at Lackawanna. Niagara Falls at Lockport.
Rivalry game. Rivalry
Maybe.
game.
I might want to go to that one, actually. 2 o'clock Saturday?
Yeah.
Might want to see that one. St. Mary's, Cat Little Valley. I don't think they'll go there. They're not going to see Lakeshore at Sil. Maybe they are going back to Olean Lackawanna, but something tells me they'll be at Niagara Falls, Lockport.
Could be. Big rivalry game. And
Tyler and Leon, we got a bucket of wings on this. I'm saying you're going to go to Niagara Falls, Lockport. Tom thinks you're going to Ole and Lackawanna.
You're egging it on, though. Like you're
If you guys go to Lockport, Niagara Falls, we're going to have some wings at Big Tree in on Tom. Friday, you think they're going to St. Joe's. Thursday, where would they go Thursday? Let's see. I think they do Grand Island. I think they're going to go see Grand Island. I'd love to go see Amherst Kenny's, but I'm going to the Sabres game tomorrow night. I'm sorry. I got to take Michael to see the Sabres.
You should be sorry about that.
I got to give it up for Tom and Tim. They're giving up the Yankees playoff game by being here producing the show. 9:43, we're going to end it. We want to thank you very much for joining us today in Western New York High School Football Weekly. It was episode 5. We had a great time here tonight. Great guests. Tim Racy from Starpoint and Braden Gibbs from Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brockton. Best of luck to all the teams out there this week, battling it out. There's only so many Fridays, Saturdays left. You got to get it done now if you're going to get it done, right?
Yep, leave it out in the field.
There is no tomorrow. You can almost actually say that.
Yeah. True.
There's actually 3 more weeks, but really, some new teams, there's no tomorrow. You got to win now. We'll catch you next week. Same time, same bad channel, Western New York Athletics High School Football Weekly. See you next week. Stay healthy.